Now, you've come from a really amazing family who have inspired you. What sort of values do you feel that your parents taught you?
I think my mum taught me not to be afraid of risks. Um, she taught me to value the whole world as one family. We were taught not to be so much Australian citizens but global citizens. She'd always inform us about what the rest of the world was like, and that we were very fortunate in what we had. And she taught us especially about giving back in the ways that we could do that best.
Now, you also have a website. I believe it's called We Are One. Is that right?
Yes. When I finished school, I started a day very idealistically to try and bring especially young people together around the world to say that we want to change the world and make it a better place.
Why did you do that?
I watched the movie The Power of One, and it just struck me not so much that one person had power, but that there were lots of people like this person in the movie all around the world trying to make a difference, and if we could bring them together or let them know about each other, that would be a great thing.
And if people wanted to have a look at your website, it's still under construction, isn't it? Or
yes, it's recently been modified a bit, but I think it's still www.weareoneday.org.
So people could get in contact with you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. People could get in contact with you, and perhaps if they've got suggestions or if they feel a resonance with that and they want to help in some way.
Yes, my mother actually, who I've spoken about, is the one organising that at the moment.
That's fantastic. Now, moving on to the Sisters of Mercy, can you talk a little bit about why you joined them?
Well, after I finished my circus course, I started looking at the different orders of sisters, and I didn't actually explore too broadly because in the end it was something of the heart choice. It wasn't a real head choice and exploring too many different options. But the Sisters of Mercy really have the quality of mercy, not just justice, that we give and we give and give even when there seems to be no return. It was founded by a woman in Ireland who founded a place for women who were poor and couldn't find homes or work, and for orphans, and she went out to hospitals and the Crimean War and things like that. So it was a group of women who were very independent for those times, and we still are, and God is the most important part of our lives, so having that connection with other people who have the same values and motivations for what we're doing is just a real privilege.
How do you experience God in your life?
In many ways. And I think God always surprises me in where God shows up in life, in many different places, and in a lot of little things. And I guess often in the times when I'm most confused or in crisis, and when I pray about that, something will always come up soon after that to confirm or to reassure me.
Now, let's look at the Sisters of Mercy and the works that you're doing into the community. Can you talk about some of the projects you've worked on and also a little bit of your overseas work as well?
I've been very lucky again because just soon after I started being interested in the Sisters of Mercy, they sent me over to the Philippines with a group of young people who were raising money for a hospital of the Sisters of Mercy there. So that was one opportunity to see the work that they were doing in the Philippines, particularly in schooling and healthcare. I've worked with the Sisters of Mercy in Adelaide in homeless shelters and also homes for women who are on the streets, and projects for men as well. I've been in Port Augusta living with the community here, and one of the sisters in our community is working in schools and one's working with an Aboriginal midwife program.
And what would you say would be some sort of key things that you've learned from living and working with the Sisters of Mercy?
I think to really find who you are, because in our formation time, and that's when we're becoming a Sister of Mercy, we do a lot of looking at, who am I and what's my relationship with God? What am I coming out of? Because then it's easier to not put your own issues onto other people. So that's been really important, and a way to find God in our lives, to be motivated by that love of God for us, which motivates us to be loving towards other people and merciful. What was the other part of the question?
Oh, just what you'd learned, from this experience.
Yes. I think also in community life, the communication, I think that's been a really big learning, because we are all very different, and especially when you move from one community to another, and we'll be doing that a number of times in our lives, to be able to keep communicating and working on a process, not just living with each other, being thrown together, but doing that quite deliberately.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been a real pleasure talking with you and also knowing you. Thanks so much, Liz. Bye.
Bye.